Alright, so basically we're on the next unit, and hopefully you did the notes that I made a video for. They're due today, by the way, just in case you wanted to know, along with the homework. Hopefully you turn that in. So as you're doing these equations, notice this is just another trinomial. This is a quadratic because it has an exponent of 2. Now, maybe what you want to do here is actually write down the generic form of the quadratic equation, which is going to be ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, obviously, when you're doing a real problem, the a, the b, and the c will be replaced with actual numbers. And these pluses could be minuses as well. They could be both minuses, or they could be, a combination of a plus and a subtraction sign. But this is how they generally write it. As you can see in our problem has two subtraction signs. So that's okay. This still qualifies as a quadratic equation. So what you're going to do is you're going to do what you've already learned how to do, and most of you are really good at this. You're going to factor this equation. Now normally when we write this f of x, this could be an f of x or it could also be a y. What you want to do to make sure, and you'll see a problem later on, is we want to make sure that this is just 0. Just simply 0. So I'm actually going to write that as 0. 0 equals, and then I'm just going to write this equation right here. 0 equals x squared minus 7x minus 18. And the reason why is we're trying to find the numbers that would make the 0. They're called zeros, intercepts, solutions, roots. These are all the things that were in the notes before that hopefully you filled out on your own. So now I just want you to factor this like you already know how to do. So the first thing I will do is check for a GCF, and as I'm looking at it, I don't see a GCF. So there's no GCF. There's no GCF. And that's okay. You won't always have one, and if you don't, that's okay. That just means that you can go straight into factoring if it's possible to factor. So let's try it. I'm going to start like I normally do. I'll create my two parentheses, and I will lead them off with x and x. Remember, we need two factors that are going to multiply to negative 18 and also add up to negative 7. So this will be negative 9 or minus 9 and positive 2. So obviously, just a reminder, you can check this, right? I can check this by multiplying it out. I'm going to check up here. Now, as you're doing this on your homework, on a test, on the SOL, since you can't get any feedback from anybody, and if you want to make sure that you factored it, and you're going to choose to do the factor method, you could always check, and I would check if I were you. Now, you're going to learn in a minute that you can do this with the calculator to find the solutions a little bit faster, but some of us prefer the handwritten ways of factoring, and sometimes it's easier. So x times x is x squared. X times positive 2 is plus 2x. Negative 9 times x is minus 9x. And negative 9 times positive 2 is minus 18. And, as is usually the case, these middle terms are your like terms. And you'll combine them, and you'll get x squared minus 7x minus 18. And it just so happens that it does match the equation that we started with. As you can see, it's right here. So we're good. Now, moving on, so you can check on your own. It's not a big deal if you don't, but it might be something that you should consider. So here are our factors. I'm going to write that here so you know, so you remember. Let me focus this camera. Okay, so these are what we call our factors, and that's going to be important. And remember, we'll put the 0, right? We could put equals 0. We could put it on this side. It's not a big deal. So what I am going to do from here, and this is where it becomes new, is I like to create a line here to keep my work organized. I'm going to take this factor of x minus 9, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. And I'm going to do the same for the other factor. We're basically trying to find what value of x would make these little equations 0. So I'm going to solve for x. Add 9 to both sides, and you get x equals 9. Okay, so that's one solution. And then you do the other side, where you're going to subtract 2 from both sides. and you will get x equals negative 2. Okay, so while these are your factors, all right, these are your solutions. And when you want to give me your answer as a solution set, basically you want to create a list of your solutions or your answers. We also call these roots. We call them zeros. We also call them solutions, roots, zeros, and then you'll see that they're also x-intercepts. When you want to write them as a solution set, you are going to just use braces, not parentheses, braces, and simply write these numbers in there. I usually go in order, and you should too. So negative 2, comma 9, and that is going to be your answer for this quadratic. So that's how you solve it. You factor it, set your factors equal to 0, and then you solve for x, and that's it.